What do you regret finding out? The actual serving size for a bowl of cereal? No. That my mother knew she had cancer a year before she told anyone, or rather a year before she was diagnosed, after I literally forced her to see a doctor for her then extremely distended stomach. That my younger sister has a high rank in a local BDSM club. Oh no. My ex is with a guy who is where I wanted to be in life 5 years ago. Delete Facebook, dude. When I was about 14, my mom took me to a tattoo shop to get her nipples pierced. While the procedure was happening, she turned to me and said, "Your dad bites harder than that." I could have lived without that info. That my father cheated on my mother on a regular basis. I discovered he even went in an orgy while with my mom, which is not a cool thing to learn when you're 15 and don't know if your mother knows or not. What the Mr. Hands video is. Don't go to a barn in Enumclaw, Washington. Don't Google Mr. Hands. That I'm not very smart. I'm not dumb or dim, but I've really had to come to terms with the fact that not only am I not the smartest man in the room, I'm probably damn near the stupidest. Yeah, I feel you, man of wood. I don't consider myself a very smart fella. That's why I hope I marry a really, really smart woman so I can be a house husband and cook and clean all day, because that sounds like fun. And I don't need to be smart to do it. What two jobs are fine on their own, but suspicious if you work both of them? Congressman and an investor. Oh man. So Shady is one word put. Judge and private detention facility shareholder. Oddly specific, but okay. Locksmith, pawn shop. My grandpa and dad used to be their rural cities ambulance drivers as well as their mortician service, until it was ruled a conflict of interest. Antique jewelry dealer and funeral director. Hey, make you money. Barber and meat pie shop owner. Oh no. What's something your employer did that instantly killed your employee morale? Boss pitched a sales incentive trip to Cancun if the team hit the goal. My team exceeded the goal, and then they canceled the trip. 2 people quit. I accepted a position with their main competitor, and less than a year later, they closed in bankruptcy. Karma's a beach. We're moving manufacturing overseas. All we do at this facility is manufacturing. Yep, never seen a less productive or less motivated workforce. And it was announced over a year before the move too. Would have been better for the company to just spring it on people with 2 weeks. Although props to them for giving people a chance to find new work ahead of time. Put up a poster that said, "Complaining is like vomiting. You feel better, but everyone around you feels sick." The morale was already bad, but it was just a shitty way to take a hit at upset employees rather than do anything positive. Yeah, don't you just love it when employers don't care? Telling employees that they are going to fire you if you don't make more sales. Then when someone quits, tell them, "Nah, that was just motivation. We were never gonna fire you." Oh yes, that's what gets me going. Empty threats. It's so awesome. Those who have been in a coma, what was it like? Got hit by a truck. I was in a coma for 4 days. It felt like a power nap, but in the hospital. I wasn't in one for long, just under a week. Seems like a long time, I would assume. While I was in the coma, I didn't remember a thing. When I came out of it, I just remember hearing my mom yelling to the attendant, "He's up." Then I woke up with a bunch of white coats in the room. I was super stiff and incredibly confused. I was in a medically induced coma for about a week. The coma itself is not much to talk about. There's just a gap in your memory, even before it happened. I don't even remember the accident that brought me here in the first place. Was hit by a car when I was 5 years old. Ended up toxic shock syndrome and went into a coma for 4 months. I just remember some very weird dreams, which I can still recall vividly 26 years later. Someone mentioned something about visiting another realm, and that's pretty close to the mark. What myth is still widely circulated as truth? That you have to wait 24 hours before you can report a missing person. If someone is missing, go get help. Yeah, I never understood this one. Like, why would that even be an option? Like, go now. Get him going. Get it reported. I was adamantly told by some seniors at work not to drink the water that boiled twice because it cooks the oxygen out of it. That doesn't make sense. That you can reduce fat from a particular body part. Bulls hate red. They're actually colorblind and are reacting to the movement of the cloth and the hole behind it. That shaving makes your beard grow better. I thought that one was real for a long time. That goldfish have a 6-second memory. I mean, it's still not great. I think like a couple months, but still, get your fish a bigger damn tank. Gum takes 7 years to digest. That one's not real? What movie did you start watching, then said, "F this, I'm not finishing this"? Giggly. Giggly? Get giggly. I thought it might be comically bad, but no, it's just the moldy cardboard of movies. Made it through about 35 minutes before I realized that I was actively thinking about other things and tuning it out, so I turned it off. Going overboard. Adam Sandler's first movie. It's amazing how it didn't end his career before it started. Zombiesaurus. I love B movies that are amusingly bad. Ghost Shark is a particular favorite, but Zombiesaurus? Bought for £2 at my local Asda. Was so bad I couldn't finish it. My mom recorded Tyler Perry's A Madea Family Funeral the other day because that's just how bored she is. She doesn't even like Madea. I sat through the first 5 minutes before I couldn't take anymore. A while later, she finished it and told me, "Yep, Madea still sucks." The most recent Underworld movie. It was a lot more soap opera and general incoherence than anything beyond saving. The Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly movie Holmes and Watson. I heard that one was just so bad, even with like an okay cast. Horrible. What's your favorite question to ask someone to get to know them better? I'm taking notes right now. I need these quite a bit. I like to ask what people's favorite food is, even as a complete non sequitur. It's a good conversation starter. Everyone has a favorite food. It's innocent, but very personal, and there's usually a story or insight into their background or culture behind it. How did you get into insert any passions or hobbies? I borrow from David Sedaris and go with, when's the last time you saw a monkey? I can't remember the last time I saw a monkey, like in real life. I get monkey TikToks all the time, but like, what's the most obscure fact you know that would make you win on Jeopardy? I use 2. What is your everyday superpower? I.e., my significant other always gets amazing parking, always picking the fastest line at the supermarket. Or, what's in the trunk of your car right now? This leads to hilarious answers in my experience. If I gave you the money to set up a theme restaurant or bar, what would be the theme? What would you call the establishment? What would be the signature cocktail? Oh boy, the Mason Says Mason bar. My signature drink would just be a shot of vodka with some hair in it. Girls, what was the most obvious hint you dropped and the guy just didn't get it? We were playing Life and he was the police officer. The rule is, if you spin a 10, he gets your speeding fines. I literally pulled open my button down and exposed my breasts and said, what can I do to get out of paying for this? He said, ma'am, I am an officer of the law. Are you trying to prostitute yourself to me? Oh my God. Okay. He told me my hair looked nice. I said, I bet it would look nicer with your hands in it. He said in a very confused tone, you want me to style your hair? Come on. That one's pretty obvious. I threw my panties at him and he kept explaining God of War lore. Dude, these are obvious even for me. Like, I like to consider myself, I don't like to consider myself, but I consider myself blatantly oblivious. Come on. A couple of weeks ago to my boyfriend of 3 years. Me undresses and lays naked on the couch waiting to bone. Him makes a dumb joke. Oh, you're naked. That's so weird. Me dies a little bit inside. After chatting for hours on top of a mountain from sunset until like 2 a.m., sharing a blanket, me leaning my head on his shoulder, telling him he's attractive, etc. He turns to me and says, how do you tell if a girl is into you? That's me. That would be me. One time a girl straight up asked me if I wanted to take my pants off and I didn't get it. I was like, nah, they're actually not uncomfortable at all. Cosplayers, what's one cosplay you'll never do again and why? My sis and I dressed up as Zatanna for a con. A guy asked to take our pictures together. Our boobs accidentally touched and he outright moaned. Joke's on him. I'm flat-chested, so those boobs were filled with socks. Plague Doctor. The mask bent and the goggles fogged up. Fell way too many times. Pyramid Head. A whole slew of reasons ranging from it's very hard to move or see or eat or drink or literally anything, and this is the complaint with just the head. Bison. My costume caught on fire going too near a heat source and severely burned my legs, lower back, and butt. I tried 3D printing an entire Iron Man armor. Took forever to get just the arms, and they look terrible. Did you sand it? Ryuk or any Shinigami in Death Note, because it was a lot of work for people to just think you were from Kiss. Oh no! Not exactly cosplay, but I went to a Halloween party as Waldo once. Terrible idea. Everyone wants you hiding in the back of their photos, and you hear, haha, I found you, at least 800 times. Never again. I dressed up as a robot unicorn from the Flash game and got hit on by 5 French guys. I'm a straight guy. Also, glitter everywhere. When did the popular kid's life fall apart in a few seconds? Developed the conscious midway through college after gaining 50 pounds and losing his starting QB spot. Checked into rehab for alcoholism and made amends with everyone he had ever bullied, which was basically everyone in our high school. I ran into him in my hometown last year and we had a nice chat. People can change. Good. You know, wholesome 100, for sure. Went out drinking on a Saturday night with a friend of his. He drove home and slammed into a brick wall at 40 miles per hour, if I remember that correctly. His friend in the passenger seat barely survived, but he died on impact. He started doing heavy drugs and fist fought the vice principal. Parents kicked him out at 18. I haven't heard from him much since. Yeah, I wonder why. 3 popular kids went swimming in a quarry, only 2 came out. It sucks because the one that died was popular for all the right reasons. He was a genuinely good dude. I was the weird kid, but his locker was right next to mine and he was friendly every single day to every single person. Guy on the football team sent a girl's nudes to the entire football team and a good portion of people in my grade. Got arrested during class. I haven't seen him since. He got made fun of because he wanted to wait to have sex with his new girlfriend, popular girl, so he caved and did it. Teen pregnancy. Oh no. Oh man. What's your worst story from throw him in the pool, he'll learn how to swim, parenting style? Doing trauma surgery. A mom decided she needed a nap and told her 15-year-old daughter to drive. Mom survived, daughter didn't. First and most painful organ harvest I did. Not my story, but my mom's. She developed a phobia after she was thrown into a pool to learn how to swim. At the age of 70, she still doesn't know how to. She's terrified of being on the water, even in a safety vest. And then some fake clairvoyant told her she would die by drowning. So we spent our summers in the mountains as far away from being on water. My younger cousin, 4 at the time, was a climber and always needed help getting down. His dad told his mom to leave him. He'll either learn how to get down himself or stop climbing. Cousin ended up climbing onto the roof, fell off and got impaled on a fence pole. Oh, God. Ew. One very expensive trip to the ER, and now he has a cool scar on his thigh. My brother and I are 7 years apart. When he was 16 and I was 9, he taught me how to box by putting a hockey helmet on me and beating the ever-living at him. I'm reasonably certain I was concussed, and I suffered horrible migraines from that day well into my 20s. I learned from these stories that some parents would rather have a dead kid than a kid who has to learn things. They threw me in the pool. I drowned. I needed CPR. They let me use my floaties after that. Yeah, I bet. Ugh, some parents, dude. Jesus. There's a quote of Philip K. Dick that says, "There exists for everyone a sentence, a series of words that has the power to destroy you." Which sentence is it for you? Not that it destroys me, but 180's my mood. When people make fun of the way I laugh, which is heartfelt and genuine and a big belly laugh. It's ridiculous. It makes 90% of people laugh with me, but there's 10% of people who look at me like I'm insane, and then I can never laugh around them again. The only ones that love you are required to. So I was looking through your browser history. Oh no, anything but that. We did everything we could, and I'm sorry for your loss. The paramedics after my mom took a nap on the couch and never woke up. Oh man, I used to be so proud of you. Oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't quite get that. Stupid Siri. I hate it when my smart devices don't understand a simple task like, hey, what's the weather? That's what I assume Squeezy Goobs is talking about, but who knows? My best friend. Do you have a best friend? I thought I did. What's something that you've done while horny and you regret it? Oh boy. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, still living at home with siblings, I thought it would be a great idea to print off a bunch of pictures of close-up vaginas, pin them all over the wall in the downstairs washroom like some serial killer, and spend the day in my vagina room doing whatever. Evidently, I left some in the print queue and they finally printed later when my sister used the computer. All I remember hearing was her yelling, "Oh God, your vaginas are printing. Your vaginas are printing." Asked my husband to use the whip on me when I was on my knees. He has terrible aim. He literally whipped my pussy on accident, and it was unlike any kind of pain I've ever felt, and I've given birth 3 times. Oh, gross. Not my experience, but my fiance told me about the time when he was first learning about jacking off. He used toothpaste as lube to jack off. His reasoning was that it made your mouth tingle, so why not down there? LOL, he said it was the worst decision of his life. Ew! You know those silicone things they have in sex shops for like $300? When I was in Montreal in my sophomore year of college, I tried to buy one. My debit card got declined, so I didn't buy it. I got a call from my dad that evening saying someone in Montreal must have stole it from me, and they had to do the talk of shame explaining that I really did do that.
What are some tricks in bed that everyone should know? You can do cool backflips and it's safe. That's the cool trick you can do. Since this was tagged NSFW, don't work from your bed if you're working from home. Separating your workspace from relaxation space will help you be more productive when you're working and disengage from work when you're done. Never, and I mean never, eat an anything bagel in bed. The results are devastating. God, yeah, because just all the stuff you will get all in your bed, you'll have everything everywhere. You tend to sleep better when the room is a bit colder than normal. Put your thermostat down a few degrees. Not only will you sleep better, but you'll save on heating bills in the wintertime if you live in a colder climate. If you fall backwards onto the bed and lift your legs, you can turn the momentum into a little backwards roll, which looks pretty cool. Progressive muscle relaxation. Start relaxing your feet, then your calves and your thighs. Move upwards and relax your back muscles, your arms and shoulders. Take some deep breaths. Relax your neck muscles and jawline. You will fall asleep in peace. If you make your twin beds into bunk beds, there's so much room for activities. Turn the pillow upside down when it's hot. Get to the cool side. Tuck the most inaccessible corner first when changing the sheets. Weirdly, because I'm not smart, I do the least accessible last because I don't know. Divorce lawyers of Reddit. What is the most insane, evil, funny, dumb way a spouse has tried to screw the other? Once had a boss who had to leave his house for 6 hours while his ex-wife grabbed all the belongings she was legally entitled to. When he returned home, every knob and handle was gone. Doorknobs, cabinet handles, drawer handles, anything that was screwed onto something and used to open it, she had taken. Every day for the next week, he would occasionally yell out, "She took the fucking knobs!" TIL. When you're about to go through a divorce, don't clean out the accounts and hide the money. Grab your pets and put them in a safe place where nobody will ever find them until the divorce is all long over. That seems like a weird piece of advice. Like, what if you can't find them? You put them somewhere nobody can find, you can't find your pets anymore. I'm a lawyer, but I've had a very limited amount of experience in divorce cases. cases. The first case I ever worked, the husband shaved/waxed every single hair off his body in an attempt to avoid a court-mandated drug test. Now that is what we call committing to the bit, so you don't, get legally charged. A soon-to-be ex-husband left his wife's prized koi to die on the doorstep of their house. Apparently the value of these fish, 6 in total, was over $100,000. She was, according to her lawyer, so distraught that she couldn't be in court, only in LA. I'm not a divorce lawyer, but my parents got divorced about a year ago. My mom didn't want my dad to show up in court because he would contest and then they'd have to split the assets. She phoned me and told me to put laxatives in his food so he wouldn't be able to make it there. Paralegal for a divorce lawyer here. Our client told us he didn't clear out the marital account after the parties filed, which technically is true because while he removed $45,000, he left about $350 in there. He really went for the technicality on that one. My uncle's ex tried to work it in that she would get half of whatever my grandmother would leave him when she passes. Joke's on her, my grandmother is passing over her kids, not maliciously. My uncle is very well off and so is my mom, and leaving everything to my brother and me. Oh, also, she tried to get sole custody of both of their children, who are in their 20s. I'm not a divorce lawyer, but my prior employer once was served with an obviously forged garnishment order for an employee's ex-wife, directing garnishment of his wages in an amount that far exceeded his actual wages. We reported it to the police department. I read one where in the settlement there was shared custody of a parrot. Neither were allowed to teach the parrot to swear at the other one. Aw, that's a boring, stupid legal restrictions. Deaf people of Reddit. What is the equivalent of having a song stuck in your head? Deaf person here. It's honestly pretty similar. Rhythms, tapping your foot, etc. Not sure about other people's experiences, but I usually have a static sort of sound replaying in my head. I've been deaf since I was 2. I always get clips of people dancing stuck in my head, like the Carlton dance from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, or dancing in the fountain from the Friends theme song. Deaf person here. I will have certain TV show intros or commercials repeatedly play over and over in my head. Mostly stuff that I used to see regularly, such as the Pardon Our Dust commercial Toonami aired when I was in middle school/high school, or the intro to Gargoyles, X-Files, Dragon Ball Z, just to give a few examples. I asked my completely deaf best friend this, and she said, the rhythm of the bass in my car, or pictures of things I enjoy, especially shows I watched as a kid. I can remember probably every scene. After a few more texts, I added the songs she talked about to my playlist so I could turn them on while in my car together. I never really thought of the bass in things until now. I first heard of something like this from Baby Driver, the movie, because he puts his hand on the speaker to hear the vibrations. It's really interesting. I asked my deaf uncle what his conscience consisted of, since he's never heard a spoken word. I wondered if it was just an image or his hand signs. I was right. I'm not deaf, but I had a lot of deaf friends when I lived in Austin. Deaf people still listen to music, they just do it differently than you and I. All my deaf friends had amazing bass systems in their cars. I'm mute after a surgery didn't go to plan. I hear my voice in my head, but sometimes I have different accents. Haha. I wonder how it feels to read without knowing how the words sound or saying them in your head, or even thinking. My sister always got the equivalent of sign language tongue twisters stuck in her head. She would be idly doing something and signing twisters. How do you feel about a law stating that tickets, speeding, driving under the influence, etc., should be a percentage of the perpetrator's annual wage instead of fixed rates? Finland already does something like this. It's called a day fine. I guess it's okay if it's for minor things like parking tickets, which is how Finland does it, but it definitely should not be applied to things like DUIs. That is just stupid. Money shouldn't be part of the punishment at all. Punish in some other ways, like community service or something. I would prefer mandatory community service hours that actually benefit the community and that nobody can buy their way out of it. Wait, what about rich people who no longer earn income? So people with no wage get a free pass on speeding and drunk driving? Nice. I actually agree with this. A $200 fine can be devastating for someone living in poverty. Revoking that person's license can mean that they can no longer work. On the other hand, $200 is nothing to a rich person. It's like the change you find in your sofa. Don't need a law. After you pay the fine and court costs, the insurance companies take care of that for the next 3 years. If someone says, I love you, but you're not ready to say it back, how do you respond? Let's get something to eat. Kind of a weird one. Really derails the conversation, I think. According to my ex, you say you're not there yet, but I really like you, and I want to see where this goes, and then completely disappear a week later. Oh, buddy, I'm so sorry. Pat them on the head. It adds confusion, and maybe they think you still like them? We're reading the same book. You're just a couple chapters ahead. That's what my husband said to me years ago ago when I blurted out my love for him a couple months into dating. Guess he was right though. I love myself too. Oof, that is the surefire way to ruin the relationship. I once gave a thumbs up. I can't really clown this one because this is definitely something I do and it sucks. You can go the Eric Foreman route and hit them with I love cake. I usually wake up when this gets said. Thank you. Here's your order and your $1.72 and change, sir. Just say I love YouTube really fast. I love YouTube. Oh, thank you. What is the most effective psychological trick you use? I like to make people think that I'm really, really stupid, but I actually have a PhD, a penis-having degree. One that I picked up from a friend of mine whenever he was trying to pick out dinner with his girlfriend. Rather than ask, what do you want, and getting the typical, I don't know, anything answer, and then having suggestions shot down, start with, what do you not want? Used it a few times in some of my relationships, and it's the godsend question. I work front desk in a medical office. Patients hate updating their paperwork. I used to say, look through the pages and make any changes. They would groan and reluctantly take the paperwork or just complain about it. Now I say, all you have to do is make changes. Saying it that way makes them think it's not much to do and they take the clipboard without complaint. It's the little things that make life at my office easier. Saying hello to everybody you know and with a smile. Often people who know each other from when they were in primary school or just from the block when they were young give each other an awkward smile instead of a happy good day. Just imagine, if someone walks into you twice a year and both times you smile and greet them enthusiastically, they will think of you as a nice person. So little effort for a person to find you friendly. When you're talking to someone, they will naturally fill silence. It's subconscious. If you want them to keep talking, keep your own mouth shut. This is useful if you're ever in a verbal altercation. To avoid workplace drama and be well liked is to just compliment people behind their back. Set expectations low and blow people's minds with my mediocrity. Listening to someone without giving advice or pushing for more information typically nets me more information than being pushy for it. Medical professionals of Reddit. When did you have to tell a patient, I've seen it all before, to comfort them, but really you had never seen something so bad or of that nature? One guy had a penis inflammation, was like 14 inches long and 6 inches wide. I could practically sense the pain. In 2011, I had a saddle pulmonary embolism 2 weeks before my scheduled wedding. My quite seasoned heart surgeon seemed pretty confident that I'd be okay, and he even said he'd get me to my wedding on time. Long story short, I was in the hospital for about a month due to complications. Several weeks later, when I was visiting my heart surgeon for a follow-up, he told me he'd only ever seen 2 other people as sick as I was. Those 2 didn't survive. Genital warts the size of grapes on the guy's quoth he, the ladies never complain. A patient with rectal cancer and an exposed colon and rectum. I could see her tailbone and the end of the femur, and whenever she would poop, it could collect inside this open cavity and had to be flushed out. Not a medical professional, and the dentist didn't even try to play it off as if he'd seen it before. But my sister had bad problems with her teeth. So many of her teeth were pulled, and one was sawed in half while it was still in her mouth so that they could pull half of it. As her dentist held the saw, he said, I've been telling all my dentist friends about you. I've never done this before. That was probably the wrong thing to say before you saw someone's tooth in half. Dentists really don't care about like your mental well-being when they're messing around in there. It's scary. Yep. Had a patient who was 62 and he had never seen a dentist before. I am a dentist. Had literally everything going on orally, especially the smell. Oh my god, the smell. Me and the assistant were like, don't worry, we see this kind of stuff all the time. Not a lie, just never all at once. Had a patient who had a melanoma the size of a cauliflower head on the back of her ankle. Melanoma doesn't generally grow like that. Maybe it was the ozone injections she'd gone to another country for? What's the most I'm turning into my parents moment for you? I've always had a little sass in me, and most of my life, my shyness covered that up. Now I'm a one-woman sassacre. Thanks, Mom. My brothers have been telling me for years that I'm essentially our mom, to the point of calling me Little Mother, in an endearing way, not a Norman Bates way. I own it. My dad will fall asleep just about anywhere, especially if he sits in recliner. So after I got my first full-time job out of college, I got home and me and my roommate were gonna watch a new episode of some show. I fell asleep in our recliner in less than 10 minutes. I woke up after the show ended and my roommate was like, yeah, you were out, and snored a little. When I went from, oh hey, this restaurant has live music, cool, to, damn it, look at them setting up a drum kit. It's gonna be too loud. I can't hear. My 10-year-old nephew let me win a video game because he felt bad for me, like I did to my dad 25 years ago on Super Nintendo. My significant other and I were packing and getting ready to road trip to some family's house for Thanksgiving. As I was cleaning up the house, my significant other said something along the lines of, "Don't worry about it, you can clean when we get home." I replied with, "I do not want to come home to a dirty house." At that point, I realized I'm turning into my mother. My mom used to find things for us in a minute after we had been looking for hours. My siblings and dad sometimes lose things and ask me to help because I always find it magically. I'm actually very excited about the mom touch to finding things. My dad has always worked himself to death. Now he's retired. When he comes over now, as soon as he sits down on the couch, he falls asleep within minutes. I'm noticing couches are starting to have the same effect on me as I stared into the mass of various saved rubber bands and twist ties. When I sit down and make a dad noise, people of Reddit who knew celebrities before they were famous, how different do they act now? This is real late and secondhand, but I knew someone who went to ACM with Ed Sheeran. He said he was lazy in class, skipped classes, and just wanted to smoke weed. And my acquaintance was mad when Ed started getting more and more famous when Ed didn't even bother with his music courses. I thought that was funny. Ed Sheeran smoking weed? Probably only smokes mid. Worked in a restaurant about 15 years ago as a manager. Rachel McAdams walked in for an interview. She was still in acting school and serving tables to pay for it. She worked at my restaurant over the course of the next 2 summers, serving on our patio. Still friends to this day. She hasn't changed a bit. Still bikes to get groceries. My aunt used to work with Gordon Ramsay's mother, but never made the connection. Once they were out for lunch, and he ended up coming in to see his mom and met my aunt in the process. She said he was so lovely and polite. Plus, my dad has a bunch of Gordon's old jumpers he didn't want anymore. Not signed or anything like that. It's just a fun family story now. I went to college with Joe Keery, aka Steve Harrington in Stranger Things. He was my college boyfriend's sweet mate and just the nicest guy. His hair has always been dreamy and amazing. Last time I saw him was at a viewing of The Hateful Eight after we graduated, and he still made a point to come over and say hi. A friend of mine was friends with Tom Hanks in high school and went to prom with him. He still writes her personalized birthday cards on one of his typewriters. I went to junior high with Nora Jones. She was the most sincere and serene person. She was fun to talk to, and she never gave a hint of who her father was. The night she won all those Grammys was very telling that she hadn't changed a bit. Went to middle school with Megan Fox for a bit. She rode my bus and she mostly kept to herself. Most of the guys would fight over who was gonna sit next to her, but she was very shy and didn't really have much to say. A coworker of mine met Daisy Ridley while on a backpacking trip. Got to know each other pretty well while traveling together. She told my coworker that she wanted to become an actress. Looks like that panned out pretty well. They said Daisy was an absolutely lovely individual. I knew Brett and Jermaine, Flight of the Conchords, back in the late 90s/early 2000s, and met Taika Waititi a few times too. I was a big fan of his art at the time. There was one painting of someone in a bathtub that stuck in my head. I knew Brett better than the others because he was in a reggae band with my good friend Barnaby. As far as I can tell, they are all exactly the same. My dad went to school with Steve Irwin. Reckons he was exactly the same as a young fella. He would be away from school all the time on trips with Bob to rescue and rehome crocs all over Australia. No good at footy, but what is that? I don't know what that is. Explain it. Tell me in the comments. I don't know what that means. My grandfather taught Jack Nicholson in high school math class. Said he was rebellious but wasn't too bad at math. What modern social trend pisses you off the most? Justifying being an asshole with "it's just a prank." I am glad that one has more or less died out. At least I haven't seen it. Posting your kids' entire lives online. You are permanently ruining their digital footprint from the second they're born. Spoiler alert, most answers are social media. Glorifying celebrities and treating them like gods. Like, I understand being a fan of someone, but you don't have to create an entire livelihood around them or try to emulate them. This is how people get into positions of power when they shouldn't be. How everything needs to be on social media. I have to explicitly say to family members, please don't put this on social media at family events, etc. As an example, trying to post that I had gotten engaged on Facebook before I'd even got to tell close family and friends who weren't actually there. Then getting defensive when you say, can you not post that please? People are crazy. Don't take the moment away from the person. I'm just so glad the licking things at the store trend is over. It is over, right? Please tell me that's finally done. I think that one died because it was illegal. It was like biological warfare. The celebration of bad attitudes, habits, and toxic traits. People would rather be praised for being a villain than to be obsessed obscure. People would rather give praise to a villain than to spend a moment not entertained. Letting little kids have social media, unsupervised. They are not equipped to handle any of it. So many conflicts spawn out of it. That one is a hefty debate, but I'm not gonna get into that, because who am I? Treating opinion as fact and fact as opinion. Looking at you, Ben Shabibo. We know what you're doing. Women, what are some questions you've always wanted to ask men, but were too embarrassed? Do you use the opening in your boxers/briefs to pee, or do you just pull down the top of your boxers/briefs? That little opening just doesn't seem that useful. Thank you in advance. I don't use it, but some people do. It's fun. It's like a little mini game. Fucking pee mini game. Someone probably already asked this, but is it hard/difficult to shave your balls? Yes, and I would love it if I just didn't have anything down there. The angles, honestly, how thoroughly do you wipe your butt? What about cleaning in the shower? And, unrelated, how open are you to the idea of prostate massages? Any kind of sexual attention being paid to your asshole? If you're straight, do you ever include any of that in masturbation? Would it feel weird, uncomfortable if a partner wanted to? I'll give a brief answer. First, straight people, gross. Clean your ass. It's so easy. You might not wipe well, but when you shower, just get your hands in there, you know? And then butt stuff is cool. I don't know. Be old enough to do that, though. Is being able to helicopter an innate skill, or do you have to practice? Well, let's move on. How often do you really cry? What makes you cry? I'm a broken human being, so I haven't cried in a few years, but I don't know what makes me cry. Men as a species are broken. When you use the toilet, does your weenie just hang into the toilet? Do you rest it on the seat? Do you ever get poop splash on your weenie? Not if I'm careful. You like cuddling after sex just as much as we do, don't you? Don't lie. Okay, yes, I do. God. Do you ever worry about what your friends think of the attractiveness of your girlfriend/wife? Like, are you ever worried that people you know don't find her good looking or judge you for being with her? This question is obviously coming straight from my insecurities. Lol. Do y'all enjoy late night chats as much as girls do, or it annoys y'all if it's very often? It depends on the time and setting. Like, if it's like 3 a.m., then shut up, I'm going to sleep. Is it true you really get random boners? Sometimes? Quick second note, I am not the male monolith. Do not look to me for what men do. What item under $50 drastically improved your life? It's a small thing. A closet rod installed above my washer/dryer and extra hangers. Now clothes get taken out of the dryer and put on a hanger right away rather than end up as a pile on the floor or in a basket never to be properly put away. Battery pack to charge your phone. We've all been in situations where having your phone on is super important, and not having to be tied to an outlet is even better. A cheap microwave and coffee maker for my work van. I have an inverter for my tools that I use to run them. Hot coffee and hot lunches make a huge difference, especially on bad days. 11-pound capacity digital kitchen scale for baking, cooking, and correctly identifying portion sizes. A rubber bristled broom. I have 2 dogs and 2 cats, and my house is all hardwood and tile. A regular broom just sends the fur floating everywhere, but my rubber broom keeps it all nice and tidy and easy to pick up. It works on my area rug and upholstered furniture too. Shower chair. I've got a f***ed up back, and I initially got it for that, but even if my back was fine, I'd still have one. They're so useful. If you shave your legs, you won't regret it. Hot water bottle. I live in cold Scandinavia and have chronic pain. It gets used pretty much all year round. Solar power battery pack. Power went out during the hurricane and I was still up and running for 5 days. What are some stupid mentalities and mindsets that need to end? Climate change is not weather. Just because it's -10 degrees doesn't mean it's a hoax. Some people think that just because a person looks normal, they don't have a disability and must be lying. Just because I'm young doesn't mean I don't need sufficient sleep. Just because I'm young doesn't mean I spend all of my money recklessly and need to work overtime every weekend. That if you get called out for your bullshit, everyone's a hater. That if I change my mind or opinion about something, I'm being fake or phony. I can't change anything, so I'm not gonna try it. If you don't like someone, you must be just jealous. That you need to stay in contact with all of your family members, even though some of them are incredibly toxic. I'm being persecuted when I'm contradicted. My opinion is as good as your evidence. What's something that is totally normal in movies but never happens in real life? Bombs with a special display that counts down to 0. How do you know that? How do you know that? Where you know this bomb knowledge, huh? Women can be in the jungle for days, but no body hair anywhere. Men instantly grow a beard. Being able to outrun an explosion. Look, I'm pretty quick, so I think I'll get away. Meeting new friends the minute you move to a new town. In horror movies, I always enjoy how fast fast and deep, a perfectly symmetrical grave gets dug. Unless they are written to be stupid/comic relief, people in movies talk with zero filler words. In real life, very few people are able to do that. People not screaming in absolute agony when shot or stabbed in the gut. Reservoir Dogs is one movie that did it realistically. Actually being able to have a conversation at a bar while music is playing. Now that's just pure fantasy. Can't happen. People recovering very quickly from injuries, especially head injuries. Hacking is typing really fast. People waking up with perfect makeup. My wife points this out in everything we watch. Guy walks in holding a 30-page document, gives to some other dude. The dude who's getting the document glances at the first page for a nanosecond and immediately knows everything there is to know about this case. What's a really cheap item you can buy that can make you look incredibly rich? I have a family member who always asks for empties of fancy bottles of alcohol and then just refills them with the cheap stuff. You'd be impressed if you look at his bar, but it's all a sham. Not exactly an item, but travel. Americans grossly overestimate the cost of international travel and think you have tons of money because of it. A butter cookie tin that has actual cookies and not sewing materials. Just call everyone Old Sport. Maybe I should try that for the intro sometime. Welcome back, Old Sport. We're reading it's EmKay. Okay, we'll move on. I'm late to the party. Spend money on getting your clothes tailored. I'm a money manager. The old school wealth doesn't wear anything that stands out. However, their clothes always have a perfect fit. The flashy guy that comes in with the big watch driving the sports car usually has a ton of debt. Money talks. Wealth whispers. My colleague has these golden earrings with zirconia drops. I thought she either stole them from a grandma or her boyfriend must have gave them to her, but she told me those were actually really cheap from a drugstore. Under cabinet lighting. I have rechargeable LED strips that I bought for $30 on Amazon, held up by magnets. They light up the backsplash/counter below and scream, "I had this custom lighting done by an electrician." A small table in your living room with a pitcher of water and 2 glasses. Apparently 3-ply toilet paper. One of my friends was at our house last year, and after a bathroom trip, she told another friend, "Oh, they've got money. They've got the good stuff. LOL. What is the strangest thing you've seen that you cannot explain? I sneezed my back into place after being couch-bound for nearly a year and a half. Within 15 minutes, it felt like that year and a half was a distant memory. I saw a man walk down the sidewalk and stop at one of the free newspaper stands, open it up and pull out a spatula, then turn around and walk back the other direction. If he was homeless, it would have made sense, but the man was dressed in clean and pressed business casual and had perfect hair and a clean shave. Oh, that was just SpongeBob. He was on his way back to the Krusty Krab. It's not funny. That's not even a joke. Not exactly seen, but it's strange. I was around 6 and on Wednesday evening I went to bed. I woke up and it was Friday. I remember asking my mom, why is it Friday when yesterday was Wednesday? She said yesterday was Thursday, obviously. I asked her what I did on Thursday because the last thing I remember is going to sleep on Wednesday. She named some activities and I remembered none of that. I never found out why I don't remember that Thursday. I was probably 13 or 14 and my brother, who's 2 years younger, was outside with me playing basketball. My dad was traveling for business, but when he was home, he would go out to his shed to work on wooden decoys and he would always say, "Hey guys," to my brother and I. So one night while my dad's away on business, we both hear, "Hey guys," in my dad's voice, and we both say, "Hey," back, thinking he came home early. So after we're done playing, we go inside to ask my mom why dad's home, and she tells us he isn't. He ended up coming home 2 days later as scheduled. My brother and I remember it clear as day and still can't explain it. I saw a beer bottle dropped from a 13th floor window into bricks and it bounced. My 3-year-old daughter walked up to my husband one night and straight up said, "Grandpa's dead." Few moments later, we get a call from my husband's sister saying their father had passed away. Happened a few months back. Still creeps me out. Squirrel wearing a leaf cap. Oh, you just stumbled upon a new Ghibli movie. What is a good weakness to mention on a job interview? Being vague. Can you elaborate? Yeah. If you're changing industries, your biggest weakness is not knowing the industry yet. If you are younger, say inexperience. Anything to show your willingness to learn and develop. Depends on the position, but I will sometimes say that I have trouble delegating when I know I can perform a task well. I'd rather just do it myself and know that everything will be done correctly. I was asked this during an interview with Uber and I was completely caught off guard. I ended up fumbling and saying something along the lines of, "I cannot ride a unicycle," for which I immediately regretted. For my current job, I said that I had a hard time sharing my ideas with new groups. Why do you want to work here? I'd say my greatest weakness is listening. I'm terrible at interviews. That's a surefire way to not get the job, in my experience. What's older than we think? Flushing toilets dates all the way back to the Indus River Valley civilization. Back in 2000, 3000 BC. The ancient Romans, well, the wealthy ones, had central heating in their homes. You can actually still see the pipes in some of the buildings at Herculaneum. Didn't say that right. I don't care. Sharks. Sharks as a family are older than trees. Escalators have been around since 1859, though they were called rotating stairs. Fax machines. They were invented in 1843, before the telephone. Is that real? I don't know if that's real. Ancient Egyptians who built pyramids. The ancient Egyptians were as old to the ancient Romans as the ancient Romans are to us. The fact that the lighter is older than the match shook my head as a kid. It also gave me the curiosity to question things that seemed obvious. I don't know if this counts, but dinosaurs lived on the earth a lot longer than most people think. When you think of dinosaurs, you think of their extinction, but they roamed the earth for 165 million years. Compare that to our 6 million and it's almost mind-boggling, at least in my opinion. Beer is thought to be older than bread. It's much easier to fill a jar with wheat and water, let it ferment, and brew beer than it is to grind grain, mix it, and bake it. What is a life hack that seems fake, but is a true lifesaver? If you're having trouble staying awake in class / at a meeting, see how long you can keep one of your feet lifted slightly off the ground. If a man is in an accident, car, ladder fall, etc., and he gets an erection, don't move him. He has a spinal injury. What if he's a masochist, you know? I'm not here to kink shame. During pollen season, rinse your hair before bed. Otherwise, you're just depositing pollen on your pillowcase every night and then rolling your face in it all night. And then multiply that by how many nights you use the same pillowcase. Rubbing vegetable oil, or any cooking oil, on your hands after you cut up jalapenos or other hot peppers. It gets rid of the awfulness that would normally be left on your hands from the peppers. I rub my hands with oil and then wash it off with dish soap. I can totally remove my contacts after doing this. It's crazy how well this works. That rubbing alcohol removes chewing gum. Yell at your vacuum cleaner to get your dogs to stop barking at it. I don't know about that one. Your dogs probably just think you're yelling at them. I read that dogs look to their owners to see how they react to things. I sat on the floor and had my wife run into me with the vacuum. It worked so well that now the dog won't move out of the way, even for the robot vacuum. If your ring gets stuck on your finger, Windex will slide it right off. Worked at a jewelry store for 5+ years. Using your turn signal actually can help other drivers know which direction you plan to go and makes driving safer for everyone. Not so much a life hack, more of a legal driving thing, but people need to know that. Whenever you accidentally set off your smoke alarm, give your pets a treat so they learn to come to you when there actually is a fire and you need to escape. All your kindling for a fire is wet and all you have is matches and snacks. Any corn chips will light into a ball of flames. If you've written on a dry erase board or any glossy surface with a permanent marker like a Sharpie, just draw over it with a dry erase marker and it'll wipe right off. In Avengers Age of Ultron, Ultron goes into the internet for 5 seconds before realizing humanity can't be saved. What do you think he saw? Rule 34 of himself. YouTube comment thread. It's funny we don't talk about this movie, but there was once an AI that learned from Twitter. It was then deactivated for being racist. 2 Girls, 1 Cup from 2005. Ugh, that one's still in there. Get paid to never work again using this one simple trick. Number 6 will blow your mind. Yeah, I probably saw too many of those hot singles in your area ads and was like, it's over. There's nothing else. All of 4chan and Reddit. He watched all of the first season of Firefly, found out it didn't get a second season, and was done. Waluigi didn't get into Smash. The League of Legends community. I'm looking at you. Flat Earthers saying they have members around the globe. Why do you like to be alone? I hate the stress of having to constantly be present in mind when I'm with other people. I love being able to space out and sit in silence and just be in my own head. People are exhausting. Ugh, tell me about it. It's quiet. Solitude is comforting. When I'm alone, I don't have to be scared to be myself and I don't have to pretend I'm feeling fine all the time. I've always been that way. Would rather enjoy my own company for countless hours than be around people and feel the need to leave after a while. Because it's nice to be alone with your thoughts and enjoy alone time. My friends are annoying sometimes. You know what? That is a fair, reasonable answer. Zero drama. Well, it depends on what your brain's like, because for me, I'm a mix between an introvert and an extrovert. I like spending time and talking to other people, but I can only recharge my energy when I'm alone. So if I have to socialize for 2 to 3 days in a row, I would make an effort to spend the next day completely alone to get back into good headspace, because I get tired from socializing. What scientific experiment would you run if money and ethics weren't an issue? The Gilligan's Island experiment. Shipwreck 100 people with vastly different backgrounds, wealth disparity, and personalities on a remote island. See what kind of civilization grows from it. Then do it 50 more times times to check results against each other. I'd train gorillas in weightlifting, really see how tanked they can get, boost them with steroids along the way, see if a monkey tribe could become dominant over the rest by training them to make and use weapons and other primitive technology. Also interested in seeing if they would take their newfound knowledge and begin to expand an empire. I've always wanted to try to breed a winter blooming rose. Ethics are fine, but the cost of having that many roses in a hot house and the decades of selective breeding most likely required to accomplish it would cost an astronomical amount, so I'm sticking with it. Have an Olympics where every single athlete is drugged to an insane level. I think it would raise what is possible by today's standards drastically. How long a decapitated head stays conscious? All we have are anecdotes that might have been exaggerated. I've always wanted a definitive answer, but you know, ethics. How athletes from different sports react to fight or flight. Even further, would they fight differently than others? How would the world react to a mountain of 100 billion pennies for free in the middle of a major area? Near-death experiences and what people see. So basically, I'd want to kill a bunch of people, then bring them back to life. I'm sure a lot of them wouldn't make it back. Well, if you've ever seen the movie like Flatliners, this is a pretty good example. I will make 5 subjects of sane and healthy mind placed in a facility with 5 psychopaths, insane murderers. They will have group activities in a pair of 2 from each group, and the activities will be of 2 types, moral and immoral. Then I will conduct results about how much these activities affect the subjects in both groups. Raise a child without ever punishing or rewarding them, just let them do whatever they want, and then see what happens to their behavior when they age. What are some ridiculous history facts? In 1895, the entire state of Ohio had only 2 cars. Both cars managed to still smash into each other. Ancient Romans would put sandals on the hands of sleeping people, then tickle their face so they would slap themselves. Okay, that is genius though. When the Romans laid siege to Themyscira, a real place weirdly enough, they attempted to tunnel into the city. The Themyscirians released bears into the tunnels. Claudius Drusus died in AD 20 from asphyxiation when he tossed a pear in the air and caught it in his mouth. The pear tree was put on trial, found guilty of murder, and destroyed. In ancient Egypt, servants were smeared with honey to attract flies away from the pharaoh. The first bomb dropped on Berlin by the British during World War II claimed no human casualties, but it did kill an elephant. At one time, there was not only a pope and an anti-pope, but also a counter-anti-pope. There's an anti-pope? A Chinese emperor escaped an assassin by running around a pillar. After 2 hours, the assassin got bored and went home, and wasn't charged for his crimes. What's the dumbest way you've gotten a scar? My cousin scratched my face because I was very ill and everyone was taking care of me. So she got jealous and nobody noticed for a long time because they were focused on getting my temperature back to normal. I was headbanging my hair dry in the bathroom. I hit the counter. I was 8. I have a scar on my forearm from a weaponized paper airplane I taped razor blades to and launched with a rubber band. Don't touch the iron, it's hot. Can't be that hot. Narrator, it was. Boys from my class were throwing CDs like you throw frisbee. One of those hit me right between the eyes. Still got a small scar there. I used a pressure washer on my foot. I have one on the back of my hand from rubbing the skin off with a pencil eraser longer than the other kids did when I was 13 just to prove I was tough. My brother, sister, and I all have the same kind of scar in our left eyebrow and got them at the same age. My brother opened an empty dresser drawer and smacked himself in the face. My sister ran into a brick wall and I fell off the couch onto a coffee table. I was trying to squeeze between 2 cars. One of the cars must have had a jagged bumper because it sliced a 2-inch gash in my leg. I got cut by a vacuum. A fucking vacuum! 7-year-old me was helping my mom iron clothes. I pulled on the cord, the iron fell and smacked me right in the face. I still have a scar above my right eye. I got hit on the bridge of my nose by a ceramic toilet seat when I was learning to pee like a big boy. Now I think about it, that's probably the best outcome there. Which type of tattoo makes you cringe the most? I'm a tattoo artist. Had a regular come into the shop. He was an older swinger type and my coworker tattooed him. He got Pinocchio tattooed above his junk with his penis as the nose, and script that said, "Lie to me." Those creepy faces of babies which look like there's always a little demon on your body. I was in line behind a guy who had a tattoo on his neck of 2 obese, naked cartoon women going at it. Tongues hanging out, flying sweat drops, the works. Armpit pussy. It's when someone gets 2 women's legs tattooed around their armpit hair. Yes. No! Ew! This is like bizarre. The tattoo of a clown holding a gun smoking a joint on my leg. Oh, friend, you shouldn't have done that one. Nothing says, I've been to prison for cooking in my trailer, like a Joker neck or face tattoo. One my sister did for a guy on his arm of a juice carton with a puss on the side saying puss juice. Edit. If I remember correctly, it also had a droplet coming out of the end of the straw. People are insane. Why would you do that? Tattoos of brands. It's basically free advertising. At least email them what they would pay you if you advertise for them till you die. Famous people. I get it that you really are a fan of said famous person, but to permanently ink their face onto yourself is borderline crazy in my opinion. Just saw a couple of days ago a writing on some dude, Karna isn't a bitch. Just as I wrote it, me reading these replies to see if any of my tattoos are on here. I don't know the exact English word, but in German it's called antlers. I'm not sure what it's actually supposed to represent, but it kind of looks like you've got a deer tossing your salad inside your pants. Lips on the neck. I get it. You're a gangster with an attitude problem and probably want to fight. A defendant in the courtroom I clerked in during law school had homicide tattooed on his face over his eyebrow. Not a great look. Know a girl who tattooed her firstborn's name as a tramp stamp. Not what I would want someone to be looking at while tagging from behind. What small thing brightens your day? When you can tell someone is genuinely happy to see you or genuinely sad to see you go. I can't see my dad a lot anymore, but he makes sure to send me an update picture of his garden almost every day. The smile of others, especially if I caused it. In my neighborhood, every day when I come back from the gym at 6:01 a.m., there are a trail of quails, and every morning I stop so they can safely pass the road. If they aren't there, I get kinda sad. I like seeing my quails and knowing they got to their destination safely. I've got one of those little picnic table shaped squirrel feeders attached to the fence around our backyard. Every morning I put a fresh cob of squirrel corn on it and watch the little dudes and dudettes come feast on it. I learned this from visiting a buddy. Learn the names of the people who you routinely visit, i.e. gas station employees or grocery store clerks, whatever. Learn a little about them. Ask them about their day, call them by name. It just feels good to make people feel appreciated, I guess. I should add, don't pry. My dog loves laying on my feet. Just mine. Not my parents or siblings. My heart sings whenever he does it because it's clearly a sign of affection he reserves for me. Rediscovering the songs I used to listen to and either relive the memories or replace them. That's the tongue emoji. Seeing 12:34 on the clock. I guess it's a little thing, but seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 is kind of cool. The way my dog wags his tail literally every time I look at him. Redditors who were born at a very young age. What is your story? Clearly, I was very sick. I mean, I was born in the hospital. To be honest, I've suppressed nearly every memory of the early period, but my parents tell me I avoided most activities, refused to speak, and spent much of my time crying. Not me personally, but a friend of mine was born on his birthday. Interesting. I remember when I was applying for a job as a fashion editor, they asked me what made me get into fashion. I didn't know what to say, so I said, I've been putting on clothes since I can remember. Both the interviewer and I started cracking up. I got that job. I happened to be born extremely young. In fact, I also happen to have been the youngest person on the planet, even if only for a very short period of time, presumably. I was born naked. Imagine a little baby getting born, just wearing a full suit. After I was born, I started to age quickly, with about 1 second per second. A maniac in blue clothes pulled me out and spanked me. It all started on the day of my birth. My parents didn't show up. I was gonna do a Doofenshmirtz impersonation, but I can't do that, and it sounded bad. You don't want to hear it. I was born at an extremely young age. Then it went downhill from there. You got that right, friend. What industry is a lot shadier than it seems? Avocado farms. Most of the farms in Central America are taken over by the cartel because of how much money is in selling avocados. The textbook industry. Pearson is the fucking mafia. Trucking. The margins are razor thin, and so everyone is trying to nickel and dime each other constantly. The drivers lie to their dispatchers lie to the brokers lie to the clients. All of this for like $50 to $100 sometimes. More people died last year over vanilla in Madagascar than cocaine in South America. They've even coined the term vanilla murder. Farmers hire armed mercenaries to guard their crops from thieves near harvest time. And if one is caught, well, let's just say it's in response to all the farmers that were killed by thieves for the same reason. All industries are shadier than they seem. I used to work for a flute manufacturer and it was shady as hell. Doesn't the beauty industry have a problem with child labor? I remember watching a thing where a journalist goes to India to see the mines where children mine some sort of mineral to make bronzer. Dietary supplements. It's gotten better, but there's still a lot of half-truths and whole lies. Not all that long ago, it was seriously like the wild, wild west. As a chef/owner, I would say delivery services like Grubhub. They take 30% of the sale, leaving the restaurant with basically $0 in profit. And their customer support is a joke. It's like they hate us. F them. Never again. The nonprofit world, unfortunately, most people at the top are in it to make a name for themselves and don't usually care about the mission of the organization. Apparently, tiger zoos. Oh, I get it is a Tiger King reference. I get it. I never watched it. Sorry. Have you ever not slept for so long that you started hallucinating? What was your experience? Ooh, this reminds me of the Russian sleep experiment. Do that if you want to be scared about sleeping. I was a passenger in a car, and looking out the window, the shadows from trees would morph and grow and move. It was kind of scary, but I enjoyed it. It was like drugs before I did drugs. Don't do drugs. Do sleep. I went roughly 4 days on 5 hours sleep total. I could function fine, but I would just constantly hear things like people mumbling right next to me. Spent a few weeks only getting about 4 hours of sleep a night. My brain started seeing, from the corners of my eyes, black things dropping from the ceiling that looked like giant spiders. I started making sure I got enough sleep. Yes, I saw shadow creatures and I thought they were out to get me. No sleep for 4 days straight. It really fucks with your head. All sounds heightened to the max, and was sure I could hear all my neighbors talking shit about me. Overseas on a deployment, started getting sleep deprived for a period of time. Started hallucinating the big date/palm trees moving across the road like in the Lord of the Rings when the trees walk. I didn't have visual hallucinations, but auditory. It was like music and very nice, but scary because you didn't know where it came from. Shadow demons coming to get me. They're very fast. Please don't do this to yourself if you do. Believe me, you will start seeing crap. It's weird and mentally burdensome and heavy. Yeah, please get as much sleep as you can whenever you're able. Do not put yourself through this.
What's your not hungry but mouth is bored snack? Cheez-Its. It's a problem. Yeah, the problem is that you like Cheez-Its. I like cheesy popcorn but can't buy because I'll eat the whole damn container in one sitting. Corn nuts. They are so crunchy. It's like eating zesty aquarium gravel. Sunflower seeds. I never knew how to actually eat the sunflower seeds properly, so I would just suck the flavor and spit them out. I've never heard this phrase before, but it sums out why I eat 90% of the food that I do. In Japan, it's called kuchisabishi, and it means lonely mouth. Chips. Kettle chips are the best chips. Doritos. Eating ice. I'm guilty of this. Me and my dog both eat ice on a regular basis. It's kind of embarrassing. My daughter was severely anemic and chewed ice all day, every day. When we asked the hematologist about it, they said yes, it's due to being anemic. He said there are people that will chew gravel or even sheetrock. Same. I'm anemic and go to crushed ice all day. I have a pop-top Yeti just for ice. Edamame. Entertainment for your mouth and your hands. Pop, pop, pop. Perfect little protein boost. You can salt them for an electrolyte assist or add gochujang and sriracha if you need a slight sugar kick. Regular hot sauce or chili garlic sauce is great if you're just looking for extra spice without the refined sugar. This ad has been paid for by Big Soybean. What are you starting to like less and less the older you get? People running their mouth in the movie theater when you're trying to watch the movie that you just paid $15 to watch. Yeah, I get it, alright? We're watching the Avengers. Yes, the character you like showed up. I don't care. Let me watch the movie. Loud noises in general. Yeah, this was me. I hate loud noises. I don't get scared super crazy easily by like scary things, but loud noises freak me the hell out. Other people. Traffic. Summer. Realized I only loved it because of summer break and my birthday. Now that I work 9 to 5, summer absolutely sucks. It's warm as hell outside, and every birthday after 21 has been 1 year closer to old age. Yeah, I just turned 24 this year, like from recording this 4 days ago. And God, I'm 1 year away from my quarter life crisis, and I'm freaking out. Gestures to everything. I just want to sit on a front porch in a comfy chair, book in hand, cats on the lap, on a mild summer evening, and shoot buckshots at anyone who comes to bother me. I give a less and less about whether people find me attractive or not, because I'm comfortable with myself more than ever. Someone complaining about literally everything. Hey, aren't you complaining right now? Yahtzee, got him. Your username is the reason you got fired. What did you do? Well, I said something, which, knowing me, probably not out of the ordinary. Oh no, they found it out. Username for sure not a llama. Hey, me too. Totally not a human. This person is a millennial. Point and laugh at them. They said human. I'm not a Reddit bot, bro. Went into sleep mode at work 99 times. Got 99 problems, but sleep ain't one. They needed someone who was great at what they did. I was only okay. Then they hired me. Oof. from musky butthole and turd play. I let thousands of frogs loose in the office. I let thousands of lobsters loose in the office. You two are so weak. From Black Bear 0101. Never catch me going anywhere with if I see a bear, I'm out. I botched that important sales pitch again. I can feel your username and I do not enjoy it. They wanted more of a shock factor kind of ad, unfortunately. Ah, darn. Well, I bought a child off of eBay. I didn't know you could do that. You're falling to your death. What are your thoughts? Probably be, I'm gonna die. Oh, it's over for me. Now you're probably wondering how I got here. Aim for the bushes. No, aim for the cubic meter of water. Yeah, you don't take fall damage if you place the water bucket down. A friend of mine nearly died after blindly climbing over a wall at night. Apparently the last thing he remembers thinking before waking up at the bottom of the concrete ditch was, this is further than I thought. Fell 20 feet? Now I'm free falling. Ooh, boom, boom, boom. If I survive, I'm definitely commenting on that one thread. Did I leave the oven on? Well, if you could add a new organ to the human body, what would it be and what would it do? We need tails, all right? And not like in the furry way, but like monkey tails where you could grab things. We need it's like a third arm, but on your butt, on your backside. We need like the Pokemon, like Apom. We need a hand tail. An organ like a car computer that could tell you exactly what is wrong in there. A neural extension to the brain that lets you adjust your conscious perception of time. So you can go into bullet time to react to sudden danger, or just have more time to read, or waste less time watching YouTube videos by playing them at double speed and slowing your perception accordingly. Naturally, it works in the other direction too, so you can fast forward through boring crap. An organ that produces stem cells. The body should just naturally backfill teeth when they come out, but I bet that was lobbied by the tooth fairy. Probably something related to lungs. An organ that helps get more oxygen in the blood when needed without going into hyperventilation. A second appendix. Not everyone would have one either, but it would be just as likely to burst as the first one. This is kinda evil. You're right, we need less evil people and more good people like me. A built-in fan would be cool. LMAO water cooling. That is called sweat. Gills, so we could breathe underwater. I mean, that'd be nice. You can never drown ever again. What is the smallest, pettiest hill you'll still die on? Bank of America charged me $2 for a miscellaneous charge in 1997. I called to ask what it was for because there was no reason. The lady on the phone says, well, I can't tell you because it is miscellaneous. I asked her then to please reverse it and she refused. I pulled all 3 of my accounts from them and have moved to a credit union ever since. Full stop, refused to have a damn thing with that company. A hill I will die on. When a kid has a birthday party, only he gets to blow out the candles. It infuriates me to my very soul when I see other kids try to blow them out. The only thing worse is when adults let them. Before placing a Ziploc bag in the refrigerator or freezer, squeeze the air out of the bag. I don't know why my wife doesn't, and one day I'll have to make a choice. That is a very small hill, even for these standards. It's common courtesy to wait for someone to come off the elevator before entering. Adding apostrophe S at the end of a word does not make it plural. I've seen it in ads. I've seen it on signs. I've even seen it on flyers somewhere wrote advertising their services as a rider. People walk around like it's normal, out in the streets, saying that they have 14 chickens. Like monsters. I will die on this hill, over and over, until my assembled corpses make it into a slightly bigger hill. Danny needs to fucking replenish the fridge downstairs. You take a soda pop, you replenish. When someone says also as well, I would also die on that hill as well. I would also die on that hill as well too. When you're inside, it's the floor. When you're outside, it's the ground. In my house growing up, it was lava. I never survived floor as lava. I'm a big guy, so my balance wasn't all there. What remained attractive through all human history regardless of fashion and body trends? Eyes. Oh yes, having eyes is extremely attractive. Dancing. For longer than we've had the written word, oral traditions of story and song have always praised any man or woman who looked good dancing. Except in that little town where dancing is a sin. Magnets. How the f do those work? Owning land. Yes. Yes, large tracts of land. Huge even. Generally having skin or face. Cool bike tricks? Well, there are boob paintings in caves from years and years ago. Then years and years later, there's my username. So there's that. Please DM boobs and awesome. Do you think asking for both boobs and is not only redundant, but also a tad bit selfish? Opposite electrical charges. Thank you, Captain Smartass. Thank you so much. What are some songs that are super popular in the mainstream, but have super toxic messages? Not a toxic message. Well, that was the point of the prompt, thank you. But Smooth Criminal. Someone broke into our apartment and killed a girl, and yet we still don't know if Annie is okay. Sting himself has stated that he is kind of horrified by how people think Every Breath You Take is a straight up love song. Don't Stand So Close to Me is creepy too. Yeah, but people don't realize that it's about a teacher struggling to resist a student. Lips of an Angel by Hinder. I had an ex tell me that was our song. He also cheated on me, so I should have saw that that coming. Wasn't Me by Shaggy is just a song about cheating, and it's a core memory for anyone who was in high school in the early mid-2000s. I like that song for one reason. My father introduced me to it, claiming he heard this hot song by a woman explaining how she got caught cheating on her girlfriend. Listening to it for 3 seconds and said, "Dad, that's a guy. Your dad and I could be friends." I misgendered Tracy Chapman's voice until I paid attention to the lyric where she called her job being a checkout girl. Pretty sure I made that Tim Allen noise. Pumped up kicks. When I'm scared, it's secretly a metaphor for something else and I'm gonna look dumb. The term pumped up kicks is slang for having cool shoes, which usually rich popular kids had. The song itself is about a guy shooting up a school and killing those popular kids with the pumped up kicks. Might get hate for this. Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. I don't know about the whole song, but having a 17-year-old sing about seducing someone's dad just kind of comes across as a little odd. What's even weirder is her 25-year-old brother wrote it with her. I feel like the majority of pop lyrics are pretty damn toxic. A lot of victim mentality. Misery loves company, I suppose, though. You just described most of Imagine Dragons songs. He keeps singing how he's awesome and everyone around him are just losers trying to put him down. I love the song, but definitely Girlfriend by Avril Lavigne. All About That Bass by Meghan Trainor. You Belong With Me by Taylor Swift. Another bop, but yeah. What is the best insect and why? The ones that leave me the fuck alone are the best insects. Bees. Bees are the best. Bee-Man from The Simpsons. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, Dios mío. Butterfly. Who hates butterflies? Butterflies all the way. They're one of the most calmest, humblest insects. Plus, they're so gorgeous. Ladybug. Because ladybug. Dragonflies, beautiful, and the best flyers. Also, one of the best predators on Earth. They catch 90 to 95% of the prey they target. Praying mantis. Badass. The lightning bug. First off, their butts light up, and that's just cool. Second, they're the chillest bugs ever. Seeing a big open field full of them is very cool. I really enjoy seeing a healthy bumblebee. Mainly the saggy bum does it for me. How often do you find yourself starting a comment and going, nah, and deleting it? And why? Very often. I delete it because I don't feel like engaging and potentially going back and forth. At least once a week. Sometimes it's just not worth the headache or argument that comes with it. Frequently. PM me your tasteful nudes is this guy's username? Okay. Frequently. Either I just don't have the right words to convey what I want to say, or it's very close to something someone else already said, in which case I upvote them and move on. Here and there, I realized somewhere along the line my comments starting veering off into the wrong lane and went completely off topic. I have a lot of weird and cringe thoughts. Most stable Reddit user. I don't think even Reddit wants to hear some of them. Dude, you're weird. You're weird. That is such a weird thing to say. Last second realization that I'm not insightful or witty enough for you glorious strangers. Very often, even in spoken conversation, I like to say never mind a lot. If it looks like I'm sliding into arguing with a rando on the net territory, what is something you are aware of about your friend that they don't know you know? He has an older brother who was arrested for drug and weapon possession. He's told me he has no siblings. Was passing by an odd part of town and saw my friend's van parked near a cafe. Had to be his. Two-toned, covered in stickers, some of them for his bands, past and present. I wrote an unsigned note saying, "The universe smiles upon you." Yes, I'm a Cringey fan, and left it under his windshield wiper. To this day, he has it stuck to his fridge. No idea who penned it, and each time I see it, I have a cheeky smirk to myself that they are cheating on their partner, and their partner is cheating on them. Plot twist, they're both cheating with you. Oh, I have something I've never shared before. At my friend's wedding, her mom and I got drunk and smoked freshly rolled cigars outside. Her mom confided in me that my friend's father wasn't a good man. It's weird because her dad is the greatest guy. Spoils her and her brothers, spoils his wife. He's also just a great human. I tell her this and she says, nope, that's stepdad. She packed herself and my friend up when my friend was just a baby and left the country they had lived in and moved here. My friend has never once let on her dad isn't her bio dad. She's also never said her mom was married before. So that's a secret I'll just leave here. Despite the social media addiction to showing off their glamorous life, they're broke, in massive debt, and completely dependent on her parents to get by. Isn't that how most people who show off on social media are? Isn't that every Instagrammer? Yeah, Instagram is a cesspool, dude. It's so gross. I hate it. That he wet the bed until he was 14. His mom and aunt got chatty over tea and started talking about it while I was hanging around waiting for him to get ready. Their Reddit account name. I know like 6 of my friends' Reddit accounts. None of them know, and some post really personal stuff. Once or twice, I thought of approaching them about this because they posted, but I feel it would cross a line that they don't want crossed IRL. That's the reason why my friend's relationship came to a sudden end, is because he and his GF are really close in the family tree and not because of other things. That he eats his boogers. I'd snap my fingers every time he did it for like the past half decade, and he always asked me why I just randomly snap, but he still hasn't connected the two. Curious, if you snapped when he's not doing it, would he do so essentially on command? I just saw a comment in this very thread that said, anytime I want my friend to snap, I eat a booger. He still hasn't connected the two. You are on death row. You have 1 hour left. They asked for your final meal. What is it? Oh god. A half rack of ribs, some mac and cheese, chocolate shake. Sounds real good as a last meal. Maybe some like fresh strawberries. Oh, I love fresh strawberries. Everything my mom's ever made. Your mom is in the kitchen cooking for you while crying. She contemplates putting poison in your food to get rid of your pain. pain. Damn, OP. Damn. Something badly cooked so I will be sick and want to die sooner and have diarrhea so bad it will be a last revenge. Taco Bell it is. A huge bowl of baked beans, a bowl of shredded wheat, a 6-egg omelet, and a gallon of apple cider. I'm gonna make it awful for everyone. The coroner. The stench of this body does not match what we'd expect to see from the alleged time of death. A McFlurry. Those machines are always broken. I just bought myself some time. There's no way in hell I would be able to eat. Not even a Sour Patch Kid? I don't know. What do you want? Pho. Just a large bowl of pho. Well, that is a credible choice. Probably just ice cream and a tiny spoon. The Little Spoon's Baskin-Robbins ice cream shops give you the taste test. Broth and a fork. What is the biggest myth you learned in school that has now been disproven? That you should tilt your head back when you have a nosebleed. Nah, bro. First time I did that, I vomited. I learned immediately. Never did that again. Whoever suggested that deserves to step on Lego for all eternity. Bears do not actually sleep the entire time they hibernate. That cracking in your knuckles causes arthritis. As a kid, I had a very bad habit of cracking my knuckles. I remember my 6th grade teacher tried really hard to convince me it would cause arthritis. And I was like, okay, I really don't care though. And then she gave me detention. A guy named Dr. Unger cracked only his left knuckles and not his right for like 60 years. There was no difference in respect to developing arthritis. That if you did anything bad, it would go on your permanent record. I had a biology teacher try and convince a class of 15-year-olds that we humans use 10% of our brain. And we told her that she shouldn't base her lesson on Lucy, and we Googled it to show her that she was wrong. I got kicked out of the class for pulling out my phone. Had a fun chat with the principal. One day, our high school physics teacher wrote on the blackboard, "Everything you know is wrong." 40 plus years later, I think he might have been onto something. Then again, maybe not. Mine is that your tongue has specific areas that taste only specific flavors. Like there was a spot on your tongue that only tasted sweet, one that only tastes salty, and one that only tasted bitter, etc. That blood only turns red in the presence of oxygen and is otherwise blue. What's the best response to, "You're late"? The first time I was late in over 2 years, HR wrote me up. In the evening, I went home on time, and HR asked me why I was already heading out. I told them I have learned my lesson and won't be late for the second time. I know, thank you for your patience. Sorry, I didn't want to come. I used this one in my last place of employment. Works a charm. Why? What did I miss? How do you know my menstrual cycles? Lamau. Well, I hope I'm not pregnant. Better late than pregnant. Blanche Devereux. Sorry, I meant to be absent. Let me fix that. You're welcome. Your whale r/unexpected whale. That's not a real subreddit. You're lying. I refuse to believe that that's a real subreddit. No, I'm insert your name. No, this is Patrick. What should have never gotten popular? That stupid public pranks on strangers where it's more or less just harassment. Toddlers and tiaras, child beauty pageants, microtransactions, all because of Cityville. Bottled water for like $3 as an alternative to soft drinks. Giving obnoxious people a platform. See Dr. Phil and his gaggle of guests who are famous for being stupid. Anyone Oprah endorses who styles themselves Doctor. K-Cup pods. Anything reusable made single use. The idea that because you are offended, you are right. Plastic. That's true. We need less plastic. I say as I went to Dutch Bros this morning. God, a plastic cup. Why are you so fucking awkward, bud? I'm spare parts, bud. Pitter patter. You know exactly why. You were there for the super soft birthday. I calculate my every move in my head, and I'm very insecure. I both do not care and care too much about what people think of me. Mostly because of the attentions paid to my buttholes. Buttholes? Buttholes? Plural? You have two? More than one? Ugh, okay. But it's best not to kiss and tell. I generally don't care about what others think of me, but I'm an overthinker to such an extent that it overrides the former, and I'm awkward. I'm a slow conversationalist in the first place, having to collect my thoughts before speaking. Canada gooses. If you have a problem with Canada gooses, then you've got a problem with me, and I suggest you let that one marinate. What's your fantasy rich person hobby? I want to be a lady who lunches. Sit in my overstuffed leather chair and purple velvet house robe, staring morosely into the fireplace while ruminating over a long-lost love, until a talking raven flies in through the window to drive me to insanity. Where have I heard that one before? Huh. Sailing sounds fun as hell. Limo jousting. Building a house with no doors, only bookcases, which swivel to reveal a secret passageway every time you pull on a book with an appropriate title. E.g., for the bedroom, you might have Perchance to Dream by Charles Beaumont. For the kitchen, Good Eats by Alton Brown. And for the bathroom, Urgent by Dermot Crowley. Not working. Or golf. Anonymously paying debts or giving things to people in need. Robin Hood, is that you? Yeah, I was about to say, no real rich person in 2022 does that. They're all selfish and buy yachts and underpay their employees. Most insane Dungeons and Dragons setup. Custom table, chairs, commissioned art, models, sculptures for all the adventurers. Make it a life-size board and hire people to dress up as the pieces. After all, it's good to be the king. What are some good truth or dare tasks? I dare you to read the last text message you sent out loud. All right, 1 second. I'll look. Me texting my brother at 10:40 this morning. I'm off today and Friday. There we go. Do I win? Dare to call everyone formally for a day. Put toothpaste in each armpit and pretend you're a train for 1 minute. Ah, yes. Random humor. I love random humor. It's my favorite. Is this an urgent question, OP? Seems seems like it. I dare you to compliment 5 people in your contacts. I dare you to buy us a pizza. Truth. Who from this group would you leave at home while going on a trip with the rest? That hurt to read. Ay. You only have 60 seconds left before the earth is nuked. How are you spending the last minute of your life? I try the aluminum in microwave thing. You want to end the world even quicker? Trying to figure out what to do for the last minute of my life. Start planking to stop time. By the time that bomb hits, you'll be grateful for the sweet, sweet release of death. Panicking in some way I can't predict. That's just how I spend every minute anyway. Probably going to Google to see if it's legit. That would be the more true answer, and the time you flick a few pages, it will explode, and that's it. I'm just gonna die. I'm not living my last minute of existence in a rush. Gonna run directly under the nuke and catch it. Save the world. If a band's name were literal, what would be the worst concert to attend? Napalm Death. Acid Bath also sounds pretty unpleasant. It's not literally a cradle of filth? Oh no, that would be horrible. REM would be a total snooze fest. Absolutely orgasmic for insomniacs. Gonna have to go with Infant Annihilator. I don't know, well, hear me out. 10,000 Maniacs. A crowd of that many nutcases would certainly trouble me. Loaded diaper. Do we all have to put one on when entering the gate, and then during like the bass drop of a song we have to ourselves? Cannibal Corpse. Ooh. Weezer. A bunch of people having asthma attacks on stage, supported by Massive Attack or Air Supply. On the upside, just imagine what a Nirvana concert would be like. And Sublime. Rainbow Kitten Surprise would be adorable. The Killers. Is it just a concert on death row? Now I'm picturing Mr. Brightside playing while Brandon Flowers mows the crowd with an assault rifle. Why would you say that? It's weird. Oh, okay. What's a work-related accident that still haunts you to this day? While building Levi Stadium, a trucker was unloading rebar when the entire pile fell on him, impaling him multiple times and also crushing him. I never met the man, but his cat and elderly dog ended up on a local shelter. We planned to adopt the dog and ended up taking home the cat too because we didn't want to split them. Nina the dog passed away in her sleep in 2017, about 2 years after we brought her home. Seal the cat is around 7 years old now, doing just fine. I've always wondered if they ever thought of him. Engineer decided to open a parcel with a Stanley knife. Not sure if he slipped or what angle he was cutting, but bam, Stanley knife in the eye. Never saw him again, but H&S quickly introduced a policy that safety goggles needed to be worn when opening boxes. Used to be a wedding caterer. While the bride and groom were going to cut the cake, it started to fall off the table, and they were both trying to catch this ridiculously huge thing. Bride slipped. Fell into a pyramid of wine glasses on a fold-out table behind her. The table collapsed and a wine glass stem pierced her neck. She survived, but she was not going to be able to take that gown back to the rental place. I've never seen so much blood in my life. I was a cashier in a grocery store. One of my fellow cashiers was a senior, just killing time in retirement. One day she had a dizzy spell, collapsed, and cracked her head open on the floor. Paramedics were called, and as they were loading her into the ambulance, she was crying out that she could still finish her shift. Oh, capitalism. I love capitalism so much. And just like that, it's over. The video, I mean. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit the like button if you liked the video, and if you really liked the video, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And make sure to turn on post notifications. You'll get notified every time this channel uploads. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I bid you all adieu. Bye-bye.